The steps to practically manifesting the kingdom, the first is to contend for healing. The second is to contend for justice. And the third is extending radical compassion. The third thing I want to cover is the fact that we are in the midst of an unshakable kingdom. An unshakable kingdom. Another story is my wife Camden here, in case none of you have met her. We were in Indonesia a little over a year ago, and we were ministering, and there was one night that I had this whole plan, this whole direction I was going to go in the teaching, and God completely annihilated my plan. And he said, bring their whole youth group up onto the stage and pray for them in front of everyone. And now this particular church was very used to the supernatural, but very used to the supernatural only in the sense of the occult. They were not used to the supernatural in terms of Christianity in any way, shape, or form. Their experience of Christianity, for the most part, was very powerless, this particular church we were at. And we found out later about their history. And the Lord said, bring their youth group up on the stage and pray for them in front of everyone. Now, it's not really something that I normally do, so I didn't want to do it, but it was so strong I knew I couldn't resist it. So I called their youth group up, began praying for them, and the Holy Spirit just came, and I mean, in a profound measure. It was sort of a quiet atmosphere, and in a moment, the shift came as the wind of the Spirit came into the room. Bodies are dropping everywhere. People are being filled with the Holy Spirit. Deliverance is happening, and it starts sweeping. And just probably had about 2,500 people in this church, and it just swept throughout the whole place. People are dropping to the ground, and everyone stands up without me inviting them, and they all flock to the front. And the kids are being touched, and the healings are happening, and tumors are being dissolved off of people. And all this is going on, and at the end of this meeting, a man comes up to me who was one of the chief witch doctors in this region. And he'd been watching all of this going on, and there were Muslims that were giving their lives to the Lord, and all these things that are happening. And he comes up to me, and you can tell sometimes in a moment if a person is trying to intimidate you. And he comes up to me in a very intimidating manner.
Hey guys, we'll be right back to the message. I just wanted to let you know that Voice of the Apostles, one of our flagship conferences, is happening soon. We have amazing speakers, including Bill Johnson, Heidi Baker, Dr. Randy Clark, and many others. We'd love to see you there in person, but if you can't make it, you can also attend online. Click the link to learn more. Now back to the message.
And he says, all the Christians here are afraid of me. And he stops and he says, but you're not. Your team's not. Why aren't you afraid of me? And I said, why don't you, because obviously this man is one of the chief witch doctors, has a great deal of power. And I said, well, why don't you use the spirit that's with you to see who's with us, and you'll know why we're not afraid. And so he stops and he does so, and his eyes light up, and his eyes get filled with tears, and he says, who is that? And I'm able to share the gospel with him and lead him to Jesus. He's witnessing the reality of the kingdom. He's witnessing the reality of Jesus and his greatness and his kingship, of his lordship. We're in the midst of a kingdom that cannot be shaken. We're in the midst of a kingdom that cannot be, the kingdom is nothing without its king. And our kingdom can't be shaken because our king can't be shaken. In the book of Hebrews chapter 12, it gives this powerful dichotomy of our Christian experience. In verses 28 and 29, before this, the dichotomy is it tells us the fact that everything that can be shaken will be shaken, and at the same time, we are inheritors of an unshakable kingdom. In Hebrews 12, 28 and 29, it says this, therefore let us be grateful for receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken, and thus let us offer to God acceptable worship with reverence and awe, for our God is a consuming fire. One of my favorite translations of this is by the late theologian Eugene Peterson from his Message translation. And he says, do you see what we've got? An unshakable kingdom. And do you see how thankful we must be? Not only thankful, but brimming with worship, deeply reverent before God, for God is not an indifferent bystander. He's actively cleaning house, torching all that needs to burn, and he won't quit until it's all cleansed. God himself is fire. And as I said, this is incredible news that our kingdom cannot be shaken because of the fact that our king can't be shaken. Despite any discouragement or any disillusion from the world around us, we have to anchor ourselves in the truth of his lordship and his kingship. See, I'm fully convinced 99% of the warfare we encounter is only over the issue of perspective. The enemy comes to bring a smokescreen of misdirection that bears the fruit of misalignment. They would come out of alignment with the purposes of the Father. And it's all distractions. Distractions come to alienate my heart from the revelation of his kingship. They come to alienate your heart. We have to anchor ourselves in the truth of his lordship, of the truth that he sits enthroned, and we rest in that revelation. We rest in that revelation. The enemy will do absolutely everything he can to bring distractions and discouragement before you. But the truth is the fact that the kingdom can't be shaken, and the kingdom is here like leaven, and it's expanding, and the kingdom will continue to advance. So I want to encourage you to press forward through this. I love in the book of Hebrews when it says, we are not of those who shrink back. We're not of those who shrink back. Press forward in the advancing of the kingdom. Don't live in a way that focuses on the external shaking. Focus on the king and his unshakable kingdom. We stand on the shoulders of the victory of Jesus. We stand on the shoulders of the victory of Jesus. And under his lordship, the kingdom is unshakable. This is our inheritance. This is our inheritance. This is what we have as citizens of the kingdom.